Peter the Great became Tsar of Russia in 1682. At just 10 years old, he ascended to the throne, a young boy thrust into a world of immense responsibility and power. His early years were marked by a turbulent regency and a struggle for control, but these challenges only fueled his determination to lead. He was a man of great ambition and energy. Peter possessed an insatiable curiosity and a relentless drive to learn and improve. His dynamic personality and boundless enthusiasm set him apart from his predecessors. He dreamt of transforming Russia into a modern, powerful empire, a force to be reckoned with on the world stage. His vision was not just about expanding territories, but also about elevating Russia's status among the great nations of Europe. He saw that Russia lagged behind Western Europe in terms of technology, military might, and administration. The gap was glaring, and Peter knew that to secure Russia's future, he had to bridge this divide. Peter was determined to change this. He was not content with the status quo and was willing to take bold steps to bring about the necessary changes. His resolve was unshakable, and he surrounded himself with advisors who shared his vision. He embarked on a series of journeys to the West, immersing himself in European culture and learning about shipbuilding, navigation, and other advanced technologies. These travels were not just diplomatic missions, but also educational expeditions, where Peter absorbed as much knowledge as he could. Peter's experiences in Europe left a profound impact on him. He was deeply impressed by the advancements he witnessed and was determined to bring these innovations back to Russia. His time abroad broadened his horizons and solidified his commitment to reform. He returned to Russia determined to implement reforms that would drag his nation into the modern era. His vision was clear, and he was ready to face any obstacles that stood in his way. He aimed to build a strong army and navy, establish a more efficient government, and introduce Western customs and technologies to Russian society. These reforms were comprehensive, touching every aspect of Russian life, from the military to the bureaucracy to everyday customs. His ultimate goal was to secure Russia's place as a major European power. He envisioned a Russia that was respected and feared, a nation that could hold its own against any adversary. However, Peter's ambitious plans faced resistance from within Russia itself. The boyars, the old nobility, were particularly opposed to his reforms. They saw Peter's changes as a direct threat to their traditional privileges and power. Many of his reforms were seen as a threat to traditional Russian values and the power of the boyars, the old nobility. The conflict between Peter and the boyars was intense, with both sides unwilling to back down. Peter's determination to modernize Russia would require him to overcome considerable opposition and upheaval. He was prepared to use force if necessary, and his reign saw significant turmoil as he pushed through his reforms. His reign would be marked by both remarkable achievements and brutal repression as he sought to impose his will upon a resistant and often chaotic land. The changes he implemented were transformative, but they came at a great cost. His story is one of ambition, transformation, and ultimately, the birth of a new empire. Peter the Great's legacy is a testament to his vision and determination, a legacy that reshaped Russia and left an indelible mark on history. Peter's reforms touched every aspect of Russian life, from the military to the economy, and even the social fabric of the nation. His vision was to transform Russia into a formidable European power. He began by modernizing the army and creating a powerful navy, something Russia had previously lacked. This was a monumental task, as Russia had little naval tradition before Peter's reign. He employed foreign experts to train his soldiers and introduced new technologies and tactics. These experts brought with them the latest in military science, which Peter eagerly adopted. He also imposed conscription, creating a standing army that was unprecedented in Russian history. This move was crucial for maintaining a constant state of readiness and for projecting power both domestically and abroad. Recognizing the importance of a strong economy to support his military ambitions, Peter reformed the Russian government and administration. He understood that a modern state required efficient governance and a robust economic foundation. He created a Senate to oversee the government and introduced a system of provinces to improve local administration. This decentralized approach allowed for more effective management of the vast Russian territories. He encouraged the development of industry and commerce, offering tax breaks and subsidies to entrepreneurs. Peter knew that a thriving economy was essential for sustaining his military and political reforms. Peter's social reforms were equally wide-ranging. He sought to bring Russian society in line with Western European norms, believing that this would help modernize the nation. He introduced Western fashions and customs to the Russian court, requiring courtiers to shave their beards and wear Western clothing. This was a radical departure from traditional Russian customs and met with significant resistance. He encouraged the education of young Russians, sending them abroad to study. Peter believed that exposure to Western ideas and technologies was crucial for Russia's development. He also founded the Russian Academy of Sciences, the first institution of its kind in Russia. This was part of his broader effort to promote scientific and intellectual advancement in the country. Peter's reforms were often brutal and unpopular. His methods were harsh, and he did not hesitate to use force to achieve his goals. He faced opposition from the boyars, who saw their power and privileges being eroded. These traditional nobles were resistant to the sweeping changes Peter was implementing. He also faced resistance from the common people, who resented his conscription policies and his attempts to change their traditional way of life. Yet Peter was undeterred. He believed that the long-term benefits of his reforms would outweigh the immediate hardships. He was determined to modernize Russia, even if it meant using force. Peter the Great's legacy is a testament to his relentless drive to transform Russia into a modern state, laying the foundations for its future as a major European power. Peter's reign was dominated by war. From the moment he ascended to the throne, he was determined to expand and modernize Russia, and he saw military conquest as a key means to achieve this goal. His primary adversary was Sweden, ruled by the ambitious young King Charles XII. Charles was a formidable opponent, known for his military prowess and strategic acumen, which made the conflict between the two nations even more intense. The Great Northern War, which began in 1700, would last for over 2 decades and consume much of Peter's energy and resources. This prolonged conflict saw numerous battles and shifting alliances, with both sides experiencing victories and defeats. The early years of the war were disastrous for Russia. The Battle of Narva in 1700 was a particularly crushing blow, where the Russian forces were overwhelmed by the superior tactics and training of the Swedish army. The Swedish army, under the skilled leadership of Charles XII, inflicted a crushing defeat on the Russians at the Battle of Narva in 1700. This defeat exposed the weaknesses in the Russian military and highlighted the need for significant reforms. However, Peter was undeterred by this early setback. Instead of succumbing to despair, he saw it as a valuable lesson. He embarked on a comprehensive program to rebuild and modernize his army, drawing on the latest European military techniques and technologies. He used the defeat as an opportunity to rebuild his army and learn from his mistakes. Peter introduced rigorous training programs, improved artillery, and reorganized the command structure, ensuring that his forces would be better prepared for future engagements. Over the next few years, the tide of the war began to turn. The newly reformed Russian army started to gain ground, winning several key battles and gradually wearing down the Swedish forces. The Russians, led by Peter, won a decisive victory over the Swedes at the Battle of Poltava in 1709. This battle was a turning point, not just in the war, but in the history of Russia, as it marked the emergence of Russia as a major European power. This victory marked a turning point in the war and established Russia as a major military power. The triumph at Poltava demonstrated the effectiveness of Peter's reforms and the resilience of the Russian spirit. The war dragged on for another 12 years, but Russia's victory was now assured. The eventual peace treaties solidified Russia's gains, and Peter's vision of a powerful, modernized Russia began to take shape, leaving a lasting legacy on the nation and its place in the world. In 1721, the Great Northern War finally came to an end with the signing of the Treaty of Nystad. The treaty was a triumph for Russia, granting it control over vast territories in the Baltic region, including the crucial port of St. Petersburg. The victory cemented Russia's status as a major European power and fulfilled Peter's long-held ambition of securing access to the Baltic Sea. To mark this momentous achievement, in 1721, Peter adopted the title of Emperor of all the Russias. This act formally marked the birth of the Russian Empire. It was a symbolic break from Russia's past, signifying its emergence as a major power on the European stage. The proclamation of the empire was more than just a symbolic gesture. It reflected the profound transformation that Russia had undergone under Peter's rule. From a relatively backward and isolated state, Russia had become a major military power, a significant player in European politics, and a center of culture and learning.